Hey everybody, welcome to MT Guitar. Really excited to share an overlooked scale, in my opinion, massively overlooked in blues and rock. And it shows up all the time in R&B and country as well. It's going to connect with a different scale as well that I think is also very overlooked. All right, so it's not the minor pentatonic scale, which is probably not a surprise considering that we wouldn't think of that scale as being overlooked in the guitar world, right? We love the minor pentatonic. You can never practice the minor pentatonic too much, okay? It's just always going to be a good scale for you to really have down. However, I've had several students who feel stuck in the minor pentatonic. They know that there's something missing. In fact, I just had a student last week who we talked about this very scale we're going to talk about in this lesson, and he was really excited because he knew that this was going to be a big step for him in adding a different scale to his vocabulary. Because we don't want to just use one scale, right? And so that's true with blues and rock and pop. The first solo I learned actually was Wish You Were Here, the intro solo. I know I'm playing my electric, but right? That's completely major pentatonic right there. Okay, major pentatonic. So sometimes guitarists will think of the pentatonic scale as only being the minor pentatonic. And maybe they'll have a trick for major where they'll use the relative approach. But that really cheapens it because really we want to think of this song is clearly in G. And this is a G major pentatonic solo. Even these double stops here. Okay, that's actually all major pentatonic notes. Even these, right? So the whole solo is almost completely in G major pentatonic besides when it goes to A, right? And then it does some A stuff. But that's for a different video. In fact, I'm going to break down Wish You Were Here in a Pink Floyd Friday series. So stick around for that on Friday. Before we move on to the other scale I want to talk about, I want to mention a couple other songs that we can train our ear to recognize the major pentatonic. If I play same G note here, G root, I can play the bass line to My Girl. And so let's define what's happening. That's just ascending major pentatonic. So that would be 1, 2, slide to 3, 5, 6, 1. And you could do the diagonal or sliding approach on a major pentatonic scale just to get going. Sliding 2 to 3. Okay? I mean, definitely can't go wrong having that in your repertoire. So 1, 2, 3, 5, 6 of a major scale would be major pentatonic. Now, we see it in tons of vocal melodies because not everyone is singing with, a really bluesy sound all the time, right? Even on a blues song, a lot of times major pentatonic will be used. So, for instance, Take It Easy. If I play the vocal melody, it's going to be completely major pentatonic. Okay? Great melody, right? And it's only major pentatonic. 1, 2, 3, 5, 3, 5, 6. You could analyze the scale degrees. I'm not going to do it all now because you get the point, right? But that's just notes from this one octave of G major pentatonic. Hey Jude is major scale a lot of times, but on the na part, that would be all major pentatonic. So I forget what key Hey Jude is in, but let's just say it's in G because it's all relative, right? Hey Jude, all completely major pentatonic. 1, 3, 5, 2, 1, 2, 1. Repeat. 6, 5. And actually, that's more of the bluesy part of the song, right? Because it goes to a flat 7 chord, which is a different topic. So, there you go. One more example for major pentatonic before we move on would be Knocking on Heaven's Door. Right? So let's take it down an octave. So the first 3 chords, then G, D, C. So the melody goes Take this badge from me. That's major pentatonic. I can't use it anymore. All right. I could go on and on. Bob Marley songs, Grateful Dead. It's just happening all the time. So as guitarists, we don't want to just overlook major pentatonic. So part of my homework will be for you to work on major pentatonic as a precursor to this lesson. I'm going to post a study guide on the Patreon where I recommend you check it out. At the $5 a month level, you can access my study guide on major pentatonic and what we're about to cover, which is major blues scale. Okay? So major blues scale, we're going to add the flat 3. And this is really the meat and potatoes of this lesson, because if I think I'm practicing 12-bar blues and I know there's something I can add to it, it might be major blues scale. So it's major pentatonic with a flat 3 added. Okay, sweet, sweet sound. If we look at how it compares to the minor blues scale, instead of 1, flat 3, 4, flat 5, 5, flat 7, 1, we have 1, 2, flat 3, 3, 5, 6, 1. And an easy approach to it is to skip the bass for a sec, because the bass can kind of trip you up. And a lot of times we're not soloing in the bass anyway. So if you start from this root, you've got your minor pentatonic or minor blues, which we all know and love. But now I'm just going to say, well, I'm going to go 1, flat 3 to 3, 5, 6, 1. Just that alone will deepen your playing on the blues. If I tried that on a 12-bar blues, which is part of my homework for you, is to play a major blues scale over the 1 chord, say in a 12-bar blues in A, then the minor blues over the 4 and 5 chords. So if I had the 1 chord for 4 bars, I would have plenty of time to practice that scale. 4 chord, 1 chord, 5 chord, 5 chord, 1 chord. Some call this the BB box, which is directly using the major blues scale, by the way. What the BB box does is actually combine the major blues and minor blues, which is kind of where you're going to be headed if you take this stuff seriously, right? So you can use the BB box to hit your major blues notes, which is 6, 1, 2, and then bend to the 3, or flat 3 and 3, and your 5. So that's all major blues, right? 6, 1, 2, flat 3, 3, 5. Then if I go to minor blues, it's all right there as well. So BB was a master of combining major and minor, and you can see that all throughout his playing. Now, if I look at early rock and roll, we can find an awesome example of the major blues scale in one of the most famous early rock and roll guitar riffs. You might even be able to guess what it is. Right? So Johnny Be Good is a 12-bar blues in B flat. Okay, not the most common key, but that's just what it was in. And the opening riff is straight major blues. Okay, he's doing double stops here actually. So flat 3 to 3 hammer on, 5, 6, just major blues. Those 3 and 6 are not in the minor blues at all. Okay, and then he does these double stops, 5 and 1 scale degrees. He throws the flat 7 in, but then straight back to major blues. And then this again, flat 3 to 3, 5, 6, 5, 3, 2 to 1. So that's all. Just all major blues. All right. You hear this in the vocal melody of Tutti Frutti from Little Richard, speaking of early rock and roll. So if I went to A, Tutti Frutti, on Rudy, Tutti Frutti, on Rudy, Tutti Frutti, on Rudy. So over the 4 chord, Little Richard went to minor pentatonic from major pentatonic. Tutti Frutti, on Rudy. I mean, it's only 2 notes, but it's the 3 to 1. Then when he goes, right here, the 4 chord lands here, D7, and he goes, Tutti Frutti, straight minor pentatonic. So he's going from major pentatonic to minor pentatonic. And that's going to be my homework, is try the major blues, or even just major pentatonic, whatever you're more comfortable with starting with, over the 1 chord of any bluesy type progression. 12-bar blues is an obvious choice, but even just a song with 1, 4, and 5 chords, you'll be surprised to find out that the major pentatonic works wonders over the 1 chord, but not so much over the 4 and 5 chords a lot of times. Let me show you a couple more positions, and then I'll demonstrate what this all sounds like over some sort of backing track. We've talked about this position. If you wanted to do it from the bass, you would go like that, major blues. Okay, we talked about the BB box, but to get there, you start from here. Okay. One more position to keep in mind is you can just start from this 5th string root here. And you can basically just work the blues scale, the major blues scale, over all 5 positions. So I'm going to loop a 12-bar blues. So I have a 12-bar blues loop. It's going to be posted on the Patreon as far as the order of the chords, but it's just a standard 12-bar blues going to the 4 chord on the 2nd bar. Okay, so let's try that out. I'm going to stick really strictly to major blues over the 1 chord, minor blues scale over the 4 and 5 chords. Here we go. Just one position. Minor. BB box. Let's try it here. See how well it works? I cheated a little bit. Okay. I just used the E minor pentatonic for a sec. But otherwise I stayed strictly to major blues over the 1 and minor blues over the 4. I remember doing this exercise, I don't know, 20 years ago. And, it took a while. It took, quite a while, right? I'm still working on it to make that make sense. But the point is, when it goes to the 1 chord, we kind of want to hear that major 3rd. All right, that's the point. And so that's why it's slightly difficult to implement, because you don't want to play that major 3rd over the 4 chord. You really don't. And that's because of certain elements that clash, right? The major 3rd clashes with the dominant 7 of the 4 chord. So maybe we'll save that for a different lesson. I don't want to bog our brains down too much with theory. I just wanted to give us a practical assignment to look at this overlooked scale, start using it right away with a easy exercise that's on the Patreon. All right? Have fun with this, and we'll see you next lesson.